Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and I'm still got the allergy thing going on, so doing my best here, guys. Probably going to be a lot of edits for coughing and sneezing in this one, but still on the Mountain Dew, trying to stay awake. So you got 9 seconds to get your drink of choice, and I suggest you get a double this time. This video is going to be a little bit longer than usual. So guys, this is going to be a long video, so I'm going to put this in here to start with. If you are a blogger, a magazine, a YouTuber, or whatever your media outlet is, and you would like to see it linked here, my email address is in the description. Send me the root URL to your blog, your YouTube, your magazine, whatever it is. Don't try to send me specific articles. I don't need that. I'll go and look myself. And send me a graphic that I can stick up right over here so that people know who you are and you get that brand recognition. And what I do is every week on Tuesday or Wednesday, I go back over the past 7 days or so and I gather up the articles that I think my audience will like, and hopefully they do. And I try to bring them things that I may not review or I may not talk about in a normal video so that they get a wider view of what's going on, and more opinions, of course. So anyhow, if you want to be on this show, send me the email, send me the graphic, and if you don't have a graphic, that's okay, but at least send me the email with the root URL of your media outlet. And for now, we're going to go to blog and print news. And to start with, if you have a Sig P320, or you're thinking about buying one, get over to The Truth About Guns and you want to read this article. It's linked in the description. And you're going to want to find out some more about it, especially if you own one of these guns. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's enough to concern me. So get over there and look at it. And then from The Truth About Knives, we have a UK man who was convicted of stabbing an aggressive man inside his home. Yeah, you heard that right. Convicted of stabbing an aggressive person in his home. Thank God we live in the United States, or at least I do. You may not, but if you don't, we have an immigration system, and if you're watching this video, you could probably get over here. And if you got problems like that, I suggest you do, or fix the stuff where you're at. Make them fix it. Because the UK is in the news a lot. And I love you guys over in the UK, but this is a bit crazy. We have a kid who may go to jail over a zombie knife. Now, all of us watching this video know that a zombie knife makes a heck of a lot better bat than it does a knife. But this kid, well, just go read the article. It's pretty sad. And then the last one, and you got to see this one just for the mugshot because it's great. Florida man, a machete, a bat, and a hedgehog. That's the clickbaity title. And yeah, it's clickbaity, but oh my goodness, guys, the mugshot is wonderful. Moving on to knife news, we have the top 25 best-selling blades 2017. They've been releasing one knife a day on their list for the past week or two. They're up to number 7, and we actually got a shout out here at the channel on number 7. Whatever it was, guys, I didn't do it. Anyhow, number 7 is a CRKT Pilar. And we got a shout out because we happen to have here in the bunker the Staza 23 carbon fiber scale on our CRKT Pilar. And hopefully Staza got a shout out. They contacted me from Knife News to find out a little about it. And hopefully they've linked up Staza as well. We'll talk about this more here in just a minute whenever we go to the camera down view. But that was pretty cool to get a shout out off on Knife News. Appreciate that, guys. And the Pilar is a pretty great knife, especially for being a budget knife. And the UK is in the news again over at Knife News. The UK police deleted their Only Cowards Carry knife bin social media post because they got way too much heat over it, and I think that's kind of funny. And then we have how Buck expanded their USA-made budget knife line. I haven't got a hold of one of these budget knives yet. Hopefully they're good. You know, they say a lot of good things. Just go over there and read the article. It's pretty darn good. And then for videos, we have Nick Shabazz with his knife gripe for last week, and it's Edgy. You'll have to go watch it to find out what that means. And he'll have another one today, but I'm recording this on Tuesday, so you might watch number 26 as well. And we have some knives here that I'm not going to review unless I get a really great deal on them. The first one is from Advanced Knife Bro. He has a LionSteel SR11, and it's kind of a neat knife, and you may want to go watch the review. It's a good review and pretty interesting. And we have the Cold Steel Finn Wolf Scandi folder. And Prepared Mind 101 has a good review of that one. It's just not something we're going to review here, but they have their review on it, and it's a pretty good one. If you're interested in that knife, go get a look. And then we have Nick Shabazz's take on ceramic bearings and knives. And on this one, I'm going to stop for just a second. I'm going to give you my take on ceramic bearings and knives. Stainless steel ball bearings are hard, very hard. Weigh a 60 or above HRC. Ceramic ball bearings, they're even harder. Does it make a difference in a bearing in a knife? Not a perceptible one. They're both nice and very round. They both spin. They both do exactly what they're supposed to do. You're not going to see a difference. Or at least I'm not going to see a difference. Maybe one of you super particular people might. The only place I have seen ceramic make a difference is in the detent ball. And whenever you're talking about the detent ball, you're talking about the knife blade sliding on that ball as you're opening and closing the knife. And there, the ceramics do make a difference because of some, well, they just make a difference. We're not going to get into the technical bits. But for the bearings, I don't think they make a difference. But Nick has some opinions, and you're going to want to watch them. I did. So it's linked down there in the description. And Fun with Knives unboxes a wee Nitida. And he was just really excited about it, guys, and it's well worth the watch. And EDC Gear Reviews reviews the, and I'm going to have to read this one, the Boost Blade Smoke TS1. And this is a knife that I wish I'd have got in on the pre-order for, and I didn't because I had some other things I had to do, but it is going to be a great knife. The design is just outstanding. If you haven't seen it yet, get over there and watch this review. Seeing one in action just makes me want one even more. And then we have Cedric and Ada Outdoors. And this week, Cedric has an ESEE Cleaver. And he puts it up against a bunch of other knives in the testing of chopping 2x4s. Now, is there any scientific thing in this or any... no, but it's Cedric chopping up 2x4s. It's well worth the watch. And it's a short video. Get over there and watch it. It's pretty darn good. And closing out the videos this week, we have Kevin Cleary, and he's discussing light or heavy-duty carry. Where do you fall in this? And I think this come up because of the Bug Out from Benchmade and the 4Max from Cold Steel. Two knives way far on different ends of the spectrum. Now, I'll give you my opinion on this here real quick. I tend to float somewhere in the middle. I like a medium heavy-duty knife, like this Liangma Endeavor. Well, we have another Riot here, the Torrent. And where's it at? And we have the 702 from Wii, which those may ride a little bit on the heavy-duty side, but that's kind of what I want in my right-hand pocket. Now, my left-hand pocket may have something like this in it. Something small, something that hopefully won't scare too many people. Now, not always. Sometimes I carry some things that might scare folks. But it's generally a small knife, a good EDC knife, something that's going to open envelopes and do all those general tasks fairly easily, and I don't have to get the big scary knife out. And that's my opinion on the light to heavy, and you should go see what Kevin has to say about it and share your opinions over there. And that's it for video news. I told you, lots of news this week, and that is a beautiful thing. We had some weeks there where there wasn't any news. That was kind of boring. I really like to see it whenever we've got lots to look at. And we've got another subject to look at now, so we're going to go to a camera down view. Alright guys, buckle in and hold on, because this is like my 5th time trying this, and we are going to blaze through it. The subject today are knives that have touched me, knives that have been interesting to me, or knives that I have carried a lot in the first half of 2017. Now, first up are the budget series knives. These are interesting to me, both of these Kershaws. We'll get the little one out if it's on the camera better. You get 8CR13, which is, in my mind, an equivalent steel to the AUS-8, or very close, and definitely close enough whenever you consider these are $30 and $35, and the Almar versions of the ultralight are around $200. So if you get a good one, and do know they are Chinese Kershaws, so you need to either put your hands on them, or you need to write in that little box at checkout and have the retailer check the knife before mailing it. And that's important, guys, because we need Kershaw, CRKT, and other companies to see the returns. And they don't need to be returns from us, because if they're returns from us, that costs us money. If they're returns from the retailer having to send the knives back because nobody wants them, or because people are upset about them, then they have to deal with their own retailers, and that costs them money. And that is what we need to see. So be sure to fill out those little boxes. Anyhow, next up is the Kershaw Fraction. I love this knife. I wish it was in, a little better clothing. I wish we had some better blade steel here. I'd be happy with the G10. And I actually don't mind the peel ply. Some people have complained about that. I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks pretty good. And the action is great. KVT ball bearings. They need to do something about the detent ball. It's kind of in the wrong spot, but that's okay because, right now it's a $30 or less knife. But I would like to see this in upper-level Kershaw or even low-level ZT. I think this would be a beautiful offering in those places. Get us a little bit better pocket clip, or just ditch the pocket clip altogether, because I use this thing as a floater. And last up is a knife that's made a huge splash, the CRKT Pilar. And once again, same thing, fill in the box or get it in your hands, because not all of them are going to be great. It's a Chinese CRKT. And it's just a beautiful Jasper Vonay's design. And I wish the CRKT would give us a better version and better steel. Maybe talk to Staza, because this is a Staza 23 carbon fiber scale on the show side. And I would love to see this make it to a upscale version of this. And my lighting is getting really bad here, isn't it? I would really like to see that, some titanium, and some CTS XHP, S30V, any of the lower end of the high-end steels, or even some high-end steel. Throw me some M390, that'd be fine too. But I'd even be happy with some well heat-treated 440C. That stuff is awesome if it's heat-treated right. But anyhow, this knife has been a constant companion in my left-hand pocket until another knife that we'll look at here in a minute showed up. And I've really been working on that left-hand knife thing since this one showed up, because it is so great at it. And I wanted to find a higher quality knife that I could put in there, because CRKT doesn't seem to want to make this a higher quality knife. And I wish they would, but they're probably not going to, so we just have to deal with what we have to deal with. Next up is the Steel Will Cut Jack. And whenever I did my initial impressions, unboxing, etc. on this one, I really picked on that pattern on the scale. And I'm still going to pick on it. It's lazy. It looks like something from the 1970s. Steel Will can do better, and they have. If you look at this design for their Warncliffe-ish type knife, they've got a much better design. And Steel Will, get a hold of me. I need to figure out how to get my hands on that knife as quick as possible, because if it has an action like this cut jack, 1, I need it. 2, you're going to get a hell of a review out of it, because the Steel Will Cut Jack, with the exception of that awful print there, is a beautiful, beautiful knife. It is, it just works so well, and I've carried it a lot as a back pocket knife, because if I'm carrying something like this on the first couple of days and I'm not too sure about it, not confident in the knife, I'll stick this knife in my side pocket or in my back pocket. Why? Because it's thin, it's light, and it's got a good trustworthy action and a good trustworthy lockup, and it has saved my butt a couple of times. And because of that, I rather like the knife. Still don't like the pattern on the scales, though. Moving on along, yeah, it's an automatic. You guys would never thought you'd see me with an automatic. I have not exactly railed against automatics, but we've talked about them before, and there are places automatics make sense, and there are places they don't make sense. And we could talk about that till the cows come home, but the big thing here is the packaging in this UTX 85. You know, my brother Seth, the other half of Todd Knife and Tool, he come up with an Ultratech, and he was talking about it, and I thought, well, you know, he's making some good points, but I don't want the full-size Ultratech, so I started kind of looking around, and I stumbled upon this orange and black one. You guys know how much I like orange, so I went ahead and picked up this orange and black Ultratech UTX 85, and you guys can all correct me if I've got all that nomenclature wrong, but what is super cool about this knife is the packaging. It's just a little box. You stick this thing down in your pocket, and you can see I've got it set up for left-hand carry, and it's out of the way. It's not a big deal, and it extracts from the pocket real easily. It does have kind of a lot of flip up here, but it doesn't seem to have affected the knife or the carry of the knife, and it just comes out beautiful as that left-hand pocket knife. Now, the action's a little scary. We know there are people out there that are going to freak out about that, but, you know, just get a look at it. That is a beautiful little knife, and yeah, for the most part, I don't live or work in areas where the scare factor is a big deal. So, not too much of a big deal for me. However, I do try to be conscious of where I'm carrying it so that I don't carry it into a place where I've got a bunch of scaredy cats or someplace where it might get me in trouble. All right, next up, we have these 4 knives, and these are kind of your upper end of knives that I haven't made up my full mind on yet, and that's why we haven't seen reviews, but they have been carried a lot. This one, to begin with, I was not real hot on the Nitida, but since I've been able to get a hold of this plain gray one, it does have a black blade, but we know that WE's black blades tend to hold up extremely well, I've kind of changed my mind. I think I like it a lot. We'll find out for sure here very soon whenever I do a full review on it. The Riot Torrent. Now this is a knife that reminds me a whole lot of an XM18, but much, much nicer dress. We got full titanium, ball bearings. It's kind of like the EDC XM18. And it's a knife I like a lot, but there are a couple of nitty little things about it that I've got to get straight in my head before we do a review, but we will. And it has been carried a lot. I've enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll get those things straight in my head and we get a review done on it really, really soon. Next up is the Bodega, the Steelcraft Series Bodega. And I rather love this knife. I've carried it a lot, but I am not ready to review it yet because I can't decide whether this guy is man jewelry, pocket jewelry, or a hardcore work knife. Now, it's got attributes from both, and that's what makes it hard. But I'll have that straightened out in my head really soon. We'll get a review out of this guy. And you know, I picked this one up at Blade Show from Mark Begg. Yeah, that's Mark, not Todd. And it is just a beautiful knife. I'll get the review done soon. It's just been really hard. And here is probably the knife that I have had the hardest time figuring out how to review. This is the Leon Ma Endeavor. I picked this one up at Blade Show also, directly from Leon Ma himself. And, you know, it's a fairly simple knife. It should be an easy review, right? Should be really easy. Shouldn't be a problem. But this is one of those. We talked about the sparkle factor or the honeymoon period or whatever you'd like to call it. This is one of those knives where it's just not wearing off. I have carried it a lot. You can see all that scratches and whatnot on the back of the knife. You know, it's been properly sharpened. And it's just going to be hard to review. And I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it, I guess. Last folder is the 702 from WE. And this one I have carried a lot. One, because I like it. Two, because I was able to get a hold of one of these early on in the 702. So I think this is, well, I know this is first release of the 702. So that's about when I got it. And I have carried this thing a lot. Now, why would I do that with a $300+ knife? Well, I was afforded the opportunity to do that, and I wanted to because there are so many people that are going to buy this knife because it's an integral, because it's a $300+ knife. They are not going to carry it and use it like it was intended. And I wanted to see what would happen if you carried this knife in a highly abrasive environment in the knife shop. And it goes in the knife shop with me. I don't put it away or go get something else. It goes to work with me, which can also be a highly abrasive environment. And somebody fussed at me whenever I did the takedown of the pivot because I didn't clean everything up. Well, I didn't clean everything up because this knife, I wanted to see what would happen with long-term use in a pretty crappy environment for a bearing knife. You know, as we can see, everything's still working great. And whenever we do the full review, if I remember, we'll take that pivot apart again, and we'll look inside it and see how gunked up it is, and see how well it works, and I should have that review done here real soon. The 702 from WE really is one of my favorite knives, even though there are some things that we'll talk about in the review that make it maybe not the best for you. And last up is a mistake. This is a mistake, and this probably didn't come out here. Oh, it came out pretty decent. I still suck at making sheaths, but we're going to call this one the Shiver. And it was supposed to be about a 3.2-inch bird and trout style knife. And that didn't happen. Me and the grinder had an argument, and the grinder won. Or it didn't really win. It thought it won. And it ended up about a 2.5-inch blade utility knife. And I begrudgingly finished it up because the grinds come out pretty good, nice and even. And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and finish it up. So I didn't exactly sand it off smooth like I should have. And I stuck her down in the acid, gave it an acid wash. And I didn't even clean up the little holes like I would normally clean them up. And made a little sheath for it. And I threw it down here in the bunker on the workbench. And it has become probably my best companion down here. I will reach for this guy before I'll reach for any of the folding knives that might be laying around or sitting on the shelf over here. And it has broken down boxes. It's done fine little cuts. It's done all kinds of things. And it's done so well that I went ahead and I got in Fusion 3D. And if you guys haven't seen it, over on Instagram, I've got a Fusion 3D drawing of this knife. And I've also drawn a Warncliffe out. And I think I'm going to make some of these because I like it so much and I've used it so much. Now, hopefully you guys like them, or maybe you guys want some, and whenever I do any more of them, they're going to get much better finish than this one did. Like I said, this one was kind of a begrudging finish because I was a little upset about losing a little more than a 1/2 inch of blade with my argument with the grinder. But didn't matter. It come up to be what I think is a great little fixed blade at a great little size. It's about 6.32 inches overall length. It has a full handle, even without scales. And I did those two little holes that are there if I decide to put scales on it. And I don't know. I just really love it. Anyhow, we're going to do a little bit of editing magic. And there you have it, guys. Those are the knives that have either touched me in a certain way, impressed me, or that I have just carried the crap out of for the first half of 2017. Be sure and share what you have carried or the knives that have really interested you or touched you over the first half of 2017 in the comments below. And let's have a conversation about it. Let's do that so people can discover other knives that may be of interest to them. So you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and put your stuff down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.